right. Oops, that's the wrong one. All right. Okay. Good evening. My name is Lorianne Ashwood, and today I'm going to be talking about going native. And when I say going native, I don't mean whatever this is. I mean writing apps for the desktop experience. So let's go on a quick journey right now. We're downstairs in Grace Hopper, and you're with your team trying to figure out what you're going to do for your capstone project. And a lot of them have been shut down, and you're like, what am I gonna do? And you start debating, and you're talking to your teammates, and you're like, okay, well, I think I'm gonna make a game. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna make this game. It's beautiful, it's amazing, and you're like, you know what? I could probably sell this on the Mac App Store. And you're like, but then am I gonna have to learn Xcode or like Cocoa or all these things? Not really. We're web developers, so maybe there's something for that. There's an app for that. Well, more like a framework, and it's called Electron. So Electron is, what is it? It's a framework that lets us create native applications with web technologies like JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. It's packaged with Chromium so that we can render web pages. And it also has Node.js so that we can access file structures. We can save stuff to somebody's computer. They can play the music that's on their hard drive within the app. We have all that access without having to be sandboxed in, that, like with other browsers. And we get a lot of benefits. We get the benefits of, hey, I know how to use CSS. I know how to make things look the way that I want them to look. And now I don't have to worry about whether or not somebody's looking at it in IE7. You can define it and then ship it, and it will look the way that you planned. Because it has Chromium, it has got cross-platform compatibility, so it will work on Linux and Mac and Windows. And you have access to the file system, you have access to native menus and dialogues, and you can also make your own icon. And then people can command tab out of it when the boss comes, when they're playing your game at work. It's useful. And it also comes with the option to have automatic updates with Squirrel. You can do app crash reporting, which is kind of harder to do for a website. Although if you use Firebase, I think that's built in, right? Awesome. So it's really cool. And we already use Electron Apps. We use Slack every day here. So a lot of us use Atom. Who uses Atom? It's the best. Awesome. And we've used Postman as well as a couple of other apps. And it's not only for applications, you can also use it for menu bar options. So like you can create your own emoji bar where you can search by keywords, and it's just like up in the corner of your desktop. Because it has access to Node, and Node can communicate with ARM processors, you can also use it to program to talk to robots. So you can have your desktop app and program it so that it communicates with your robot, and you have a built-in thing that you can ship to people like, hey, here's your robot, download this app, you can use it together. And Jibo is one such thing. So where would you begin? There are a lot of resources that are out there, but the main things that I've used is the Electron Quick Start tutorial that is on the Electron website. And that gives you like a bare bones version to work with. You can also, like, if you want some more scaffolding, similar to FSG but not as complicated, you can do Generator Electron or Slush Electron, and there are lots of tutorials where you can learn more. And to get started, it's just 3 lines of command line code. And when you run these pieces of code, you get an app that gives you 3 parts. You have a main app processor that handles the window. It handles all the things that, like, oh, when you open the app, when you close the app, it's all in your main.js. So you create your app, you create the browser window that will tell you like how big you want your window to open when somebody launches your app. And because it comes with Chromium, you also have access to web dev tools, so you can see what's happening, why something's not working, and work with that. And you can also have your own close buttons, and it's really cool. And then so here, you just tell it to load an HTML file, and it will run that file for you. And so if you go in and you say npm start, it gives you the hi in that file. And so you can go in and do even more things and say, hey, I want to go to gracehopper.com. You type worse when you're showing it to people. And so I can restart. Well, I didn't have to restart, but then I can click in, and now I have access to the website, and I can do all the things that I could do before, except for the back button, because you have to, for anything that's about the browser window, you have to build that in, you have to code that in, but you have access to Node, so you can do that, and you can npm install any package that you like. So if you want to use React, if you want to use Angular, all those things will work in your Electron app. So it doesn't take a lot to get started. It's really, really useful. Oops. So it also comes with the option of having a packager, so you can, once you've written all your code, you write it once, and then you can send it everywhere, which also means that you have really good maintenance, because your code is only one piece of JavaScript. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to write it for Cocoa, then I'm going to write it in C++, then I'm going to write it in Java, I'm going to write in all these things. You write it in JavaScript, and then you just choose how you want the outside to look and wrap it to look like Windows and to look like Mac. But the basics of your app, the hard parts, the parts that are for your customer, you can focus on instead of worrying about all the other wrappings. And you have all these different tools that, because it's open source, there are lots of different tools that you can get to test and to deploy and to debug and to install, as well as Windows packages. It's really cool. I think it's a good thing to think about. Not everybody wants to download things, but again, we use Slack, and I think that it's easier to command tab into Slack and to get access to it. And again, if you have your game, it's really good to be able to be like, okay, here's my game. It's the app of the year at Mac World, and it's cool. And whatever, does Windows have one? I think so, maybe. But my sources were the Electron App website, the Electron framework, it's a framework, website, as well as the YouTube videos that they have for it, and a podcast, DevChat TV, which kind of just like goes through all the things that you can do. It's a big thing. There are lots of things that are possible. I encourage you to take a look at it. Thank you for listening.